Sure. Can you give me the same type of information that we have been getting here with respect to the unmanifested interacting between self and gadgets and toys and inventions? Ra, I am Ra. In this particular instance we again concentrate for the most part in the orange and in the yellow energy centers. In a negative sense, many of the gadgets among your peoples, that is what you call your communication devices and other distractions such as the less competitive games, may be seen to have the distortion of keeping the mind-body-spirit complex unactivated so that yellow and orange ray activity is much weakened, thus carefully decreasing the possibility of eventual green ray activation.
Hey everybody, so today I want to focus on the law of one interpretations of both technology and wars, two very trending topics at the moment. And so first, Rob brings up the idea of these non-competitive games and what kind of form of distraction they are. I think it makes sense to consider these games as forms of distraction in terms of how Rob puts it, the orange and yellow ray, where orange, let's compare that to walking around and moving around and really kind of exerting ourselves. And then yellow of kind of understanding ourselves and kind of going through the self-reflection. And both when you're stuck at your computer and you're playing Minecraft or what have you, then of course you're kind of staying sedentary and you're just focusing in, you're zoning in on this game and ultimately forgetting that you even exist as a being. So let's get back into it.
Others of your gadgets may be seen to be tools whereby the entity explores the capabilities of its physical or mental complexes and in some few cases, the spiritual complex, thus activating the orange ray in what you call your team sports and in other gadgets such as your modes of transport. These may be seen to be ways of investigating the feelings of power, more especially, power over others or a group power over another group of other selves.
I'll take a shot straight through my heart, reflecting back on the times, the countless hours I spent playing competitive video games, whether they be sports or kind of shooting games. And yeah, I mean, it seems very accurate. A lot of this really brought feelings of competitiveness and us versus them to the surface. And ultimately, I think there was definitely a lot of negative that came from that, but I think the bonding experience, I mean, I like to argue for that, but I do see Ross' point here, and I think it's worth mentioning for you all.
Questioner, what is the general overall effect of television on our society with respect to this catalyst? Ra, I am Ra. Without ignoring the green ray attempts of many to communicate via this medium such information of truth and beauty as may be helpful, we must suggest that the sum effect of this gadget is that of distraction and sleep.
This is an interesting point brought up by Ra, and I think I'll go the extra mile and say that this is related to more than just television with phones, computers, social media, etc. And we'll recognize that there is an importance to these distractions. They play a role in some way, shape, or form. And yes, it's alright to distract yourself here and there and find balance and all of that, but ultimately just recognize that these are distracting you from your purpose, whatever that may be. And I do want to zone in on this word, sleep. Because I don't think, my interpretation, that Ra is using this as sleep. I'm thinking it in the sense of you're not opening yourself up to what's really going on in this world, which, if you think about mainstream television, then yes, that seems to be the case, but I do think the tides are changing with these new social media platforms and just the content creators that are independent from these massive corporations, because it does seem like there is a lot of valuable information being shared out there for me too. So definitely just consume information that really uplifts you in some way, and if you are doing it to distract yourself, then do so with purpose and be conscious of that and accept it, because you don't want to fall for a trap and feel like you're wasting your time and ultimately expending your energy in unfruitful matters.
Questioner, can you give me the same type of information that we are working on now with respect to war and rumors of war? Ra, I am Ra. You may see this in relationship to your gadgets. This war and self relationship is a fundamental perception of the maturing entity. There is a great chance to accelerate in whatever direction is desired. One may polarize negatively by assuming bellicose attitudes for whatever reason. One may find oneself in the situation of war and polarize somewhat towards the positive activating orange, yellow, and then green rays by heroic, if you may call them this, actions taken to preserve the mind-body-spirit complexes of other selves. Finally, one may polarize very strongly third ray by expressing the principle of universal love at the total expense of any distortion towards involvement in bellicose actions. In this way, the entity may become a conscious being in a very brief span of your time-space. This may be seen to be what you would call a traumatic progression. It is to be noted that among your entities, a large percentage of all progression has as catalyst trauma.
So we'll finish the video with this statement by Ra about war, and it's hard not to think about the current situation that our world is in, and the ultimate need that we have to try to polarize positively. It's tough because it appears that we, as viewers and not the presidents of these countries, have a back row seat, and we're simply passive observers of what our leaders are here to do for us. And that's ultimately not the attitude that I'm trying to keep with me for the long term. So what I propose to you all is consider your actions to be one with the actions of those that represent us. Let's assume that we are extensions of one another, and that by living our best versions of our lives, then so are our leaders. And overall, try to live your life in harmony with the power and the unity of life and consciousness itself. I wish you all absolutely nothing